how do we ever get progressive politicians or leaders if we keep voting for people who aren't?
Yeah, well, look, my standard answer. You got to get money out of politics, otherwise we're screwed on all this. Because, Jimmy, what happens if you don't vote for Obama? What are you going to get?
I know.
I'm tempted by Rocky Anderson. Rocky Anderson has almost every position correct, meaning I agree with him, of course, as a voter personally. That's what I want, right? And the country agrees with him. If you go down the polls, Rocky Anderson is almost exactly the center of the country. He's considered, of course, fringe left by Washington, D.C., right? And by the way, on the current show, we're going to do a great segment with Joseph Stiglitz, two-time Nobel Prize winner, on income inequality. And if you look at it, on that issue, the country is so far to the left of me. Like, they want much more equality than I do, okay? So the country's so liberal. Anyway, and they realize, election time, that's when everybody realizes how, in reality, they don't talk about it, but in reality, how liberal the country is, because all of a sudden both Democrats and Republicans are like, oh yeah, we're totally, like Romney's out there going like, pre-existing conditions? Oh my God, I am outraged that insurance won't cover pre-existing conditions. I certainly will, right? Yeah, all of a sudden, what happened? You need votes, right? What I was gonna ask you is counter you with a question. So you vote for Rocky Anderson, but you know what? That might help Mitt Romney win. So how do we, if you don't go for the structural change of money in politics, which I know you agree that we should, but in the short term, I don't know what to do.
When George Bush beat Al Gore or stole the election or whatever happened, I thought that the silver lining would be that people are going to get a really good look at these conservatives, right? They're going to finally get a real good look and they'll get sick of them. Well, 9/11 happened. But then it took a couple of more years. But it happened. Right. And people got sick of them. They voted out the Republicans in 2006 from the Senate. But in 2008, right, so when we got Barack Obama, I'm dumb enough to think that he was a progressive. I thought he was, and most of the people, now everybody says, oh, I always knew he was a so. Well, I didn't. Okay.
I love that you admit that, yes.
Okay, I didn't, and I thought he was everything I wanted him to be. And I think the country did, too. I think that most of the people who voted for him thought he was a radical, thought he was going to be the new FDR, was going to do some of those things.
You know what's radical?
And we were ready for it, and now we're not anymore because people think he did do those things, but she didn't do those things. And they're going, well, we're still screwed up, and we had Barack Obama. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. I'll go one step further. First of all, what's radical? Change is radical by definition. We're going to change the existing system to a new system because we don't like that system. And that's what he won on. I mean, that was his central promise. No one can argue that that wasn't his central promise. And the country said, yes, give us radical change, big change. We hate this system.
And healthcare.
And then he didn't do it. And then now it's further than he didn't do it. He did right-wing positions like record deportations, not going after the bankers, it's down the list. And then they called it Maoist. So now the liberal position has been redefined as the right-wing position, so that now when people go, well, I know what didn't work, it's what they called liberal, but in fact was right-wing, so we'll go in the opposite direction. But no, you're going to go massively in the wrong direction again. So that's a huge problem that President Obama has created. But then what do? How do you solve that by letting Mitt Romney win? You don't. It makes it even worse.
Yeah, exactly. You don't vote for Rocky Anderson for that reason. I mean, it's tempting for a lot of people to do that. I think that the risks totally outweigh the rewards, though.
Can I just make the point, though, that if we don't, like, if we do it, then we have a chance for change. I mean, if we don't start, if Barack Obama and politicians like him don't start fearing the base, we're never going to get a progressive.
But people said that about John Anderson. People said that about Ross Perot. People said that about William Jennings Bryan going even further. Whenever you have a third-party candidate, people said that about Ralph Nader to a degree, although that the people voted for him almost in a protest way a lot of the time. The whole idea, though, is that our structure is what it is, and you can't change that. You have to work on that after an election. You have to work on that for the 3 years before an election.
So let me just put nuance in there, right? So in the short term, look, if we had a two-tiered voting system, by the way, that would be terrific, because then in the first set of elections, in the first voting, I could vote for Rocky Anderson, no problem. And if he makes it into the top two, then I could vote for him again. If he doesn't make it into the top two, then I turn around and vote for Obama. So that's a better system in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, we don't have that either, and we need a structural change for that too. But look, you don't have to just put pressure on by voting for Rocky Anderson this time around. There's other ways to put pressure. Like the gay rights groups put pressure by saying, hey, we can give you millions of dollars in campaign donations, or we can not give it to you. So which one would you prefer? That's pressure. That's real, right? And Latino groups go, well, we could show up and vote for you and be excited and get everybody out to vote, or we could not. That's pressure.
Right.
So what do you think the problem?
And by the way, those pressure is exactly what works. So you're right, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like you put pressure on him, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, of course, I didn't mean to deport people. I love gay people. My position is totally evolving."
The same problem that Barack Obama is having in this election, right? That he might lose some of the center because people are going, "Hey, he's been president for 4 years. My life, I still have big problems. He hasn't fixed any of these problems, right?" So won't Mitt Romney have those same problems? So now, if he has to govern. If he has to govern and people...
I know. So here's the only problem. So that's the Steve-O philosophy, right? Which is just let him go so far off the cliff that they just jump off the cliff. And,
like Bush did.
Well, yeah,
right,
but they did, and then they reelected him. I mean, that's the thing. Then John Kerry didn't win. I mean, so...
No, but then we got Barack Obama, because 9/11 screwed some of that up, that 2004.
But that's the point. The point is, why should 9/11 screw that up?
I
Why
know,
do they own,
right.
patriotism and defense?
All right,
that's the whole point.
But
it shouldn't screw it up.
Let me add just two last things, then we got to go to the break. Look, one, it doesn't matter, because you think they're going to just take the blame. What happened on 9/11? Richard Clark, in those 9 months the President Bush was in office, was like, Bin Laden, for the love of God, concentrate on Bin Laden. Bush is like, yeah, just screw off, okay? I'm on vacation here. I'm in Crawford. Okay, you covered your ass, go home and said it was...
You worked for Clinton.
Right. He told a CIA agent literally that when he was trying to brief him. Bin Laden is determined to attack Washington and New York, okay? Wow, who could have seen it coming? So what did they do? They said, oh, it's early in his term. It's obviously not his fault. If anything, it's Clinton's fault, right? But don't point fingers, no blame game, et cetera. Hurricane Katrina, no blame game. So if the economy blows up under Mitt Romney, you think they're going to say, oh, you're right, it was us, right? No, they're going to say, oh, we told you, look at what a mess Obama left behind. Obama doesn't look backwards. The Republicans, are you kidding me? They'll be like, oh, it was Obama, we should criminally indict him. Right? So the problem is they have the louder megaphone because they have more money.
Right.
So, and you don't, in my experience, it happens rarely, but it's a terrible idea to try to win by losing. Okay?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? No, you win by winning.